hung 155 points on the Pacers, the second most points in a game in franchise history. This was also the second straight game where the starters sat for the entire fourth quarter. Of course, no Tyrese Halliburton in this one, but Boston hits the road for the next 3 games. They will try to keep this streak alive. But here's the deal. The Celtics starters, they have been absolutely dominant this season. Look at this. They've outscored opponents by over 37 points per 100 possessions. That is the best in the Eastern Conference. So senior NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski joins us now. And Woj, the Celtics, I mean, they took some big swings this summer, and it's already paying dividends. What has been the key to them getting off to this fast start?
They are just overwhelming teams with talent right now. And when they had the opportunity to go out and get Jrue Holiday, when he became available, you know, Boston saw a window here where they could have the deepest, most talented team in the league. And I think this is a team who's can absorb regular season injuries. That you can see how many different guys that could carry them for a stretch. And certainly this is a Boston team whose championship window, not just this year, but going a few years forward, they made the Holiday trade with an expectation they can re-sign him this summer. They still want to re-sign Derek White. This is a team built right now to win certainly a lot of regular season games in this Eastern Conference.
Absolutely. You've seen Joe Mazzulla even say we essentially have 6 starters, and we're just figuring out how to deploy each one of these players. And even the gap right now, and I know there are growing pains between the Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks, it looks sizable. Brian, what stood out to you the most watching Boston early here?
Well, to be in the conference finals like they were last year and then be able to improve on both offense and defense, this is almost an unheard of situation. By adding Kristaps Porzingis, they really are able to stretch the floor more effectively offensively, which is creating a lot of maneuvering room for both Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum had 30 points in 27 minutes. We saw Jaylen Brown have an explosive game a couple of days ago. And then defensively, with the ability to play Jrue Holiday on the perimeter, with all due respect to Malcolm Brogdon, who was a 6th man of the year last year, putting those minutes to Jrue Holiday immeasurably improves their perimeter defense. And then you look at the fact that they are still able to align and play the so-called double big. Even though Al Horford isn't starting, the way Joe Mazzulla is using his rotation, he still has 2 bigs out on the court a significant amount of time. But when the Celtics do that, they're very stout defensively. Their overall net rating, you saw that plus 37, but their overall net rating is plus 20 at this point. It's plus 20. I think the next closest is plus 11. They are not only winning, they're dominating. Incredibly impressive first 5 games.
I'm almost ready to come home. I'm almost ready to come home. Back to the Celtics, you know what I mean? But not yet. Not yet.
Almost.
Not yet. For the simple fact that they are playing beautiful basketball. I love what Derek White and Jrue Holiday bring on both ends of the floor. Porzingis has been balling, but I'm going to go back to it. When it comes down to the meat and potatoes, and when things get thick, what is Porzingis going to bring to the table? That's when it matters the most. It's cool right now, but I need to see it in the playoff series.
Yeah, they might be. Actually, let me just go ahead and say this. They are the best team in basketball, top to bottom. 13 players, 13 scored yesterday. Their ability to, like we heard, play big or play small. But then the key to that is having a 5 that can stretch the floor. They have that. Yes, Perk, I am concerned about Porzingis in the postseason potentially because we haven't seen much so far. But what we have seen so far is that the pressure will not only be on him. It's 13 players that scored yesterday. Again, Malika said everyone was able to sit in the fourth quarter. They improved offensively. They improved defensively. And also there's more time to build experience. I think the big question mark that we had was coach. How is the coach going to react in certain circumstances in the postseason? I think they're gearing themselves to explore the same way we saw the Milwaukee Bucks explore a couple years ago to figure out how to win a championship. We're seeing the Boston Celtics go through that process with a number of players that can play both ways. I am starting to see the makings of a champion.
But I want to settle everybody down for a second, okay? Because I just had to look at their schedule. And, I mean, obviously, they played the Wizards. They beat the Pacers. They beat the Heat. They beat the Knicks. They beat the Hornets. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, they really haven't really scratched the surface of a contender yet.
And I will say, what I'm speaking of is the East, because I think the Denver Nuggets, they have all the, questions answered, but in the East right now, they are emerging as the team to beat.
The strength of schedule point is fair, but sometimes teams have tendencies to play down to the team that they are playing, and the Celtics have just been rolling straight through doing what they do. All right, trivia question for you before we head to break.
For who?
You. The Celtics, they improved to 4-0 for the first time since.
It's probably 2000 and, you know what I'm saying, 9.
Hey, ding, 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 2009, 2010. And who was on the
Perk
team
was
at that
leading.
point? Big
Yeah,
Perk
I
was
was
leading that
leading the
team.
way.
There you go. Welcome back to NBA Today. So Kendrick Perkins, remind me, when you first got into the league, you took a road trip from Houston, right, to Boston. How long was that? How many hours?
Yeah, it was 30 hours. I was country and dumb, and I didn't know that you could actually ship your car. So I drove from Beaumont, Texas to Boston, yeah.
Well, that was before there was GPS, right? So that means now you know your way around a road map. Yeah, exactly. MapQuest is just a little bit better. So we're going to debut our new segment. It is called Perk's Road Map. And we are going to play a little game here. We're going to lay out some teams that have lost their way a little bit early this season. And Big Perk, he's going to help them. He's going to navigate their path to figuring it all out. So we're going to start with the Milwaukee Bucks, because the Bucks, they hosted the Raptors last night, who entered the game with the league's lowest scoring average and gave up 130 points. It was a blowout loss to Toronto. The Bucks never led in this one. Sometimes this happens, but they fell behind by as many as 27 in the first half alone. The team's defensive struggles, they're becoming a little bit of a concern, because take a look at this. After ranking 4th in defensive efficiency last season, they are 29th in the NBA this season. Milwaukee ranks in the bottom 5 in field goal percentage, allowed on layups and dunks this season. So Perk, give me the roadmap here. How do they get back on track? Where are they headed?
Well, listen, I got this car over here. I'm doing my thing. I'm mixing it up. Okay. So the great thing about today, less Richard and more of yours truly, okay?
Okay.
So I've been working on it. You telling me the car fast, but guess what? Got to spin it. That face in the camera. That face. Now, I don't want you to lock in on that 300-pound version of Maurice Chestnut. Lock into what I'm saying that's on the sign, okay? And what it says is road work, okay? The Bucks need work on both sides of the floor, and rightfully so. New head coach, Chris Middleton in and out of the lineup. Got to figure out the new guys like Malik Beasley. Got to see how your rotations are going to go, and got to find an identity on the defensive end and the offensive end of how you want to play.
I agree with you, Perk. I think their defense, I mean, you missed Drew Holiday, who was going to be the captain of that defense, and we're seeing the effects and the learning curve. So, yeah, that's
You're riding with Perk on this one. All right, let me give you another team that's lost their way a little bit. How about this? The Miami Heat, right? They blew a 15-point second-half lead to the Brooklyn Nets. I'm liking this music here. They dropped their 4th straight to fall to 1-5 on the season. Tyler Hero said, quote, "At some point, this has to matter to us." And Bam added, the season starts like this and you get to the deadline and you don't know what's going to happen. So I don't know exactly what that means, but it is a little bit ominous here. I want to show you this, Perk. The Heat are off to their worst start since the 2007-2008 season. So what's their roadmap here?
Well, let me work my magic. But watch out.
Back up. Beep. Beep. Reverse.
Hey.
How's looking in the camera? Huh? How's looking in the camera?
It's looking great, Perk.
But they having a rough road, right? And it started in the offseason. Missed out on Bradley Beal. Missed out on Damian Lillard. Missed out on Drew Holiday. Lost Gabe Vincent. Lost Max Strus. So where they at right now? Trying to find their way. And it's got tougher in the league overall. Milwaukee got better. The Celtics got better. The 76ers are better now that they got James Harden out the way. What are they going to do? I still believe in Eric Spoelstra. They'll find a way to get it right, but they won't have that same success that they had last season.
All right, last up here. The team that has sole possession of last place, the Memphis Grizzlies. They trailed the Jazz by 35 at halftime, lost to Utah 133-109. Memphis fell to 0-5, still has 20 more games until Ja Morant is eligible to return from suspension. And then take a look at this. Less than 1% of teams that have started 0-5 make the playoffs. So what's the roadmap for Memphis?
Well, I said this at the start of the season. Let me get the car together. Back it up. There we go.
Bam!
You're nice with it.
I know.
See that? Do not enter. That's the thing. That's the roadmap. Do not enter. That's the sign, meaning they're not going to enter the playoffs. And I said this, with Ja being suspended, losing Steven Adams, no Brandon Clark, Dillon Brooks is gone, and you can say whatever you want about Dillon Brooks, but he brought heart and soul to that team. I see this team being lost, and with the West being so stacked, being so deep,
no room
I
for
don't
error.
see the Memphis Grizzlies making up ground to make it into the postseason.
Perk,
do not enter.
You're so good with your driving skills. Can you bring the car over here really quick?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Can I grab you? Here we go. Perk. Come on, Perk.
One more wheelie for the road.
Come on. Right here. Come on. There we go. Thank you, sir.
There we go.
Well done. That was smooth with it, Perk. Well done.
I mean, when you have
appreciate
kids,
you.
you know what I mean? You know how to whip the whips a little bit.
All right, my
Ghost rider.
friend.